Well, greetings, everybody, and welcome to the show we call the Inworld Review. The Inworld we're referring to is virtual worlds, plural, really. It should be Inworlds Review, but we're not going to change it now, are we? the, um, these are interactive worlds you can inhabit, and most of them are all, work on a platform called Open Simulator, and they're all connected together when they want to be by something called the hypergrid. And what we do is we look at all the people, all the arts, and all the destinations, that is what we can fit in, across the whole hypergrid. It all works rather similar to a place used to be around a few centuries ago called Second Life. The inspiration from which came, etc., etc. But that was a walled garden. So here we're out in the brave new frontier, the open expanses, which go on forever. Yes, until you get into quantum realms. Yeah, that's a slightly different problem. Okay, so my name is Mal Burns. I'm your main host anyway, and I'm joined on my left-hand side actually by my regular co-host, none other than Thirza Ember. Welcome, Thirza.
Hey, good to be here once again, Mal. Very nice.
And we'll be during the week. We had our final hypergrid safari of the season, so we'll be having a little bit look at that later because Thurza, as well as being here, is of course the convener, I suppose, of the hypergrid safari, which means she spends a lot of time running around trying to find places to go to. Not an easy task. Not an easy task, but does a wonderful job. And on my right-hand side, your left-hand side, or I don't know how it works, do I? We've got none other than James Atlloud, who is my sort of he sits on anything available. He presses as many buttons as he can and fiddles with, well, his knobs. And yeah, he does all the AV stuff for us. So welcome to James Atlloud. Welcome, James.
Yeah, sure thing, Mal. Thanks. I'm looking for my Jetsons future of having just one knob, but I think that's a long way
Oh,
off. Long way off.
yeah. Well, I mean, think of it, there's a lot more to be said for having multiple knobs because when one knob wears out, you can move to the next knob, can't you?
Indeed.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right. Right.
anyway,
All right.
anyway.
You
Also,
say so.
also in the studio today, we have our two guests. We have Jimmy Olsen, who's from AlternateMetaverse.com. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hello. Thanks for
And
coming.
we have Xenon Darrow, who's from Wolf Territories Grid. Welcome, Xenon.
Hi, thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah. And our main focus actually is we're going to be talking to Jimmy today, but he works with Xenon and, Xenon sort of knows, well, basically they're coming together to help each other out, cover quite a lot of ground, I do believe. And we do in our live audience actually not connected to our voice system. I'm afraid we do actually have Lone Wolf of Wolf Territories himself. So keep obviously checking on keeping an eye on one of his clients, so to speak. Anyway, getting down to business. This is the Unwell Review. We were talking shortly before we came on air. There's a slide behind me advertising the Hypergrid International Expo. This is actually coming up in about 5 weeks' time, April 19th to 21st. You're pretty much getting to the limit of we're getting booths ready. You can, I think we've got all the speakers and exhibitions and things. So, is there anything we should add to that? So, being as it's getting close, that Deb-
Yeah, we're very, very excited that so many people are participating. Obviously, the actual lectures that are given during the event are not in English, but that doesn't mean that English speakers cannot participate in the expo and get a publicity booth for their project or their grid or their region. We have about 90 available, so there's lots of room. I should think we're about well, already about 30% are already present, so there's quite a lot I'm expecting. But if you want to participate, there's still time. So bring it along, and we're trying to get them all up by March the 15th. And so they're very, very simple. You can fix yours up with a few posters just in a very short time. It's not a lot of work. And so please, yes, participate. It's free and it's fun.
Great. And there's a mention that you don't have to be foreign, as it were, to come along. Most of the things that are talks or whatever do actually have English translations. They've got translations for every language that's part of the event. So it's not like you'll be sitting listening to a load of French people not understanding what they're saying, because you'll have translations in front of you, I think. Okay, anyway, so I thought we'd better plug that to get it out of the way. But I'm going to hand back to Thirza now for our regular opening slot, which is something known as the Hypergrid Happenings.
Yeah, and here we are. Yes, once again, the hypergrid is definitely happening. The first thing I'd like to mention is, of course, next week. I guess it's exactly a week from today, the 17th of March. That's St. Patrick's Day. So there will be parties all over OpenSim to celebrate that Irish that you all feel in ya when you've drunk that much beer and worn that many lucky clover leaves. Anyway, so this poster is taken straight off of Event Plaza in OS Grid, which will, of course, have an immense event next Sunday. So don't forget that. I'm sure there'll be many, many more to mention. They'll be popping up all over the place, especially on our sister Hypergrid Happenings, which is on Facebook. Please join that group if you're on Facebook, because it's a great group for both finding out what's happening and advertising your event, and you're very welcome to join us over there. Here's something else that's coming up, not on the 17th, but actually on the 21st. If you're interested in migration, this is a big deal, especially here in Europe, but I guess also in the States with the southern border and so forth. Over on Craft Grid, they're celebrating with a huge event with many, many artists talking about migration, problems of climate change, and war in general on the planet. And what Rox has done is she's put together a huge bunch of artists, many of them very famous in Second Life as well as here in OpenSim, and they've all put together something that represents these worries, these political issues that are very up to date and something that's on everybody's mind, I guess. So this is going to be on Ukbar, which is a region over on Craft Grid, and it will start on the 21st of March. So do look at your social media to get the exact time of that event. And of course, once the opening event is over, you can go and visit the exhibition anytime. That's going to be really quite an important event over there on Museo del Metaverso on Craft Grid. Something else that I think is a fun thing that you could do on Thursdays if you're free. They have an event on Neverworld Grid, which is a huge grid if you've ever visited. It's quite a big place, and most of it, very much like Wolf Territories Grid, is all contiguous in that you can travel from one sim to another, either by road or by boat. There's a lot of boats as well. But these guys go out on their motorcycles, and they call themselves the Never Riders, and it's a kind of internal safari, if you will. Star Manor organizes it every Thursday at 2:00. They meet up on Cloudburst Roads and they go out and visit something interesting on Neverworld Grid. You don't have to be a member of the grid to do it. It's a way to discover stuff that maybe you wouldn't otherwise be aware of. That's on Thursdays at 2:00, Second Life time, grid time. So here's another thing that's coming up on the same day, on Thursday. We were speaking before about St. Paddy's Day. Well, here is the Celtic Capers. They do this all the time, though, not just once a year. Thursdays at 1:30 grid time, which is Second Life time or Pacific time, if you will. Celtic Capers. It's over there on Callahan's Club, which is on Third Rock Grid. It's a long time since we've talked about Third Rock Grid, and I'm really happy to be able to mention it. It's a wonderful idea that you can just pop in and hear some wonderful Irish music. Can't really miss that. And that's a weekly event. So please go over to Callahan's Club. It's on Peaspod region over there on Third Rock Grid. Now, some stuff that's coming up in the future, just to remind you guys, OS Fest will be happening later this year, in fact, in October, but they're already gearing up. So if you're not familiar with OS Fest and you would like to know more about it, go over to opensimfest.com. You can find out a whole bunch of stuff. They have a Discord channel too, where they have a bunch of information. They're kind of regrouping. I was talking to Shalane earlier this week, and she was explaining that they were trying to improve some of their organizational structure. So check that out and find out how the team is changing, and if you can find a place in it, maybe you can be a volunteer. They will be beginning the real build in September. The event is in October, so it's worth already getting a good idea of what's happening. So do check out their website, because obviously it's an event that's seeking to involve everybody in OpenSim if it can. And speaking of, here's another event that's intended to bring the whole of OpenSim together. This is the World's Fair. We had the girls on together with Cooper. We had Kim and Koshari on a couple of weeks ago talking about the World's Fair. There you can see all the addresses that you need. They have their own website, they have their own Facebook page, and of course you can follow them on Twitter and find out how you can buy a piece of land for the event. Of course, it's a huge region which has been donated entirely by Lone Wolf. It's on his grid, and he's donated the land, so you pay a little fee, and that fee covers the expenses that have been incurred by putting on the festival, with things like PayPal and different rights that they have incurred, different expenses that they've incurred. But it's quite a small fee. So if you're interested in participating, definitely go over and take a look at the website. That's where you can register. And finally, Mal already talked about it. This week is really we're coming to the end of the period where we're putting together the expo booths for HIE, the Hypergrid International Expo. So if you haven't grabbed yours yet, get a template booth and then just pimp it as much as you wish. All the posters and freebies and crazy stuff that you want to put on your booth, and then pass it back to myself on CraftGrid, possibly, if you can, and then we'll place it in our huge 3-region expo park. It'll be one of 90 different expo booths that express kind of the whole entirety of OpenSim as it is today. So just another reminder, if you do have an event, a project, a party, some kind of art opening, perhaps you teach a class, anything like that coming up on your grid, please let us know, and we will be very happy to include it here on Hypergrid Happenings.
Well, thank you, Thirza, for that. So I kept thinking there was something missing there, but of course it was the fact that there is no event called Safari this week. There won't be for another few weeks. We had the last one of the season only last week. The Never Bikers, whatever. Do they? Is that where we went on Safari? They actually provide a motorcycle for you, do you? If you're going to be.
No, that was a different grid, but this is more like they go to all kinds of different sims on the same grid. I think you're thinking of CCI grid, where it's that giant region.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always nice if they give you a horse or a bike or something, so you can really feel like you're moving around on a tour, a safari, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, that is wonderful. Right. Before doing anything else, I'm going to hop over to Thirza's blog. We always have a look at what's happened in previous safaris and stuff during the week. And because it's a sort of event thing, I'd like Thirza to just give it a roundup. But this is a wonderful event on, I think, Thursday night. And it included, musicians from all over the world and wonderful backdrop stages that were made up for each of them. And there's only 3 pictures on this, but I'll show them and Thirza can comment too, I guess.
It was a really fun event. Of course, we had Kat and Cliff on the show a few weeks back, and they were talking talking about how they had been planning this event for some time. They tried to get as many different language groups as they could to participate. I think there must have been about, I guess, 12 different performers, everything from Canadians to Indonesian and Brazilian and Scottish and Italian, a little bit of everything. This is the first time they've done this event. Just each musician only plays for 30 minutes, which I spoke to a couple of them, and they were saying that it's a little bit of a challenge because you have to figure out what songs to sing, in a slightly more, you want to fit as many songs as you can into that 30-minute gap. So there's not a lot of leeway, but it definitely, the energy in the room was incredible because the music kept changing and the mood kept changing, and as you say, the background kept changing too. So it was very exciting.
Yeah, I was most impressed with the stage management there and everything else. So they did a very good job. And of course,
that's Ted Jr. You have to say his name immediately. That was Ted Jr. who did all the background and so forth. Yeah. Great,
that was on AMV grid, wasn't it? So were you there, Jimmy, perchance?
Yeah, I did the sign, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. Lovely. Okay, yeah, so great event. No, I think there's one more. Oh, yeah, this is a picture, close-up of the various people dancing. Include what dance was I doing there? I'm the thing in the hat. I'm not even going.
I'm not sure is that you though. I'm not sure it is you because there was a lot of people that kind of looked like somebody I knew, but turned out it wasn't. Yeah, there was a lot of people. There was a lot of body parts floating around. It took quite a long time to get this shot, having to de-render unmentionables until I was able to take a GIF without embarrassing myself and others. Yeah, but I mean, if you think there was like 50 people there constantly, and not the same 50 people over like 4 or 5 hours, the sim did really well, considering it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, Clifford even told me there are 58 people.
Sorry?
Clifford told me even there were times there got the 58 people in the sim.
Yeah,
it's a lot. It's amazing.
I actually had to wait about 10 minutes and leave the computer to sort itself out and get rid of all the lag and get everything res before I could really enjoy it. But I started off there. I was dancing with Sylvie Jupiter, the musician, and Thirza would have been there somewhere. But next time I actually looked at my screen, I'd moved. So I think that the dancers were automatically moved a line forward every so often. So I
think when somebody new joins the group, it changes. That's what happens. When somebody new changes, everybody's slightly in a different position. But yeah, it was a great event, and the energy was super. And like as Jimmy says, as many as 58. But remember, it wasn't the same 58 people all evening because I saw so many people come and go. So I should think there was probably closer to 200 different people were there at one time or other during the event. It was really, really well attended. It was fantastic.
That's a lot for open scene population.
That's huge.
Anyway, moving on to Safari, I've got a bit of a funny story to tell you about this. My memory from the week, is pretty awful. This one's called The Journey of Pat Babby, and today, earlier on, I just dropped in, I followed a link to a Portuguese sim or Portuguese thing, right? And it was an art gallery on a region called Gaves Dois. And I thought, I know this. And in fact, I think it must be an earlier version because it's on OS Grid, an earlier version of this build, which of course is on, forget which grid it's on now. It's on, Family Features or something. What's the name of the grid this was on?
Oh, yeah. So Pat Babby, some time ago, she was actually a resident on Craft Grid. And then she moved to Sharing is Caring, but she does also have a region on OS Grid for logistical reasons. Right. So yes, she has a very beautiful grid with Sintra, the city of Sintra, on OS Grid. So this is Sharing is Sharing is Caring grid, which is her, let's say, her principal home where she socializes a great deal.
And yeah, these are the basically the art gallery is largely as the other one I did today. The artwork is largely Mid-Journey and similar sort of AI kind of things. And so they look, you know, they look nice enough. There's a lot of variety there now too, because you've got lots of different engines and different types of commands you can give them to get what you want. So again, there's our other camera person, and there's another camera person.
Yep.
He's just sitting there, isn't he? Yeah,
It was lovely, and it was also very personal, I thought. And you know, I wasn't doing any funny sits there because I really I appreciated the work and the meaning that was put into the space.
I agree. I think Pat is one of the most extraordinary people you can meet really in OpenSim, because she's been through this terrible stroke. Didn't really think she would be able to come back to virtual worlds. She's fought her way back. She's not able to do the kind of complicated artwork that she maybe would have liked to do. She's discovered this way that she can use Mid-Journey to make art, even with the disabilities that she still is dealing with, and she's made a triumph of it, really. And even if you're not particularly fond of AI art in general, she kind of gives it a sense, a purpose that perhaps in some cases you think, well, you know, it doesn't really have, because she's managed to use it to express things that she couldn't do otherwise. So it's kind of let her out of the cage that is the pain that she's suffering. So I think it's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm struck by it was also on the script build too, these black and white photos, which I guess are again are AI, but the weathered faces, especially the women's section as well, they're just some astonishing portraits there, really. I would have thought they were real photographs to be many of them, and I can usually tell the AI stuff, but there you go. Friend of ours.
Whirly?
You all know I can't resist Whirly. Come on. Wherever he goes, I got a cam where he's going to see what he's up to. Yeah, he really liked that art very much, and he was bright enough, which a lot of us didn't think of doing, was to go outside and take a look, because there's a lot of stuff in the grounds of the main gallery.
Yeah.
And of course, if you go in the sky, there's a fantastic dance hall, which is a kind of a gallery by Vela up in the sky, which is a fun place.
The silhouette of those two sculptures. Let's move on to there. There he is again. I don't know who that is.
That'd be Nara.
Was that Nara?
It was.
Oh, yeah, I suppose it could be. Yeah.
What's her last name again?
Nara Malone of the new case.
I was waiting for the Nara Nook. It didn't happen.
Not Nook. It's Nuke. It's not Nook. It's Nuke.
It's Nuke. Yeah, Nara new case. Yeah, that's what I said.
Inside joke.
Oh my god. So there's Lavia as well. She's not. She was talking about that. She saw some pictures that were very violent, but unfortunately, I didn't get a picture of her looking at the violent pictures. She's looking at babies there, so apologies for that. But it was quite tricky to get a hold of everybody, because people were moving. Either they weren't moving at all, or they were moving very fast around the gallery, because it wasn't possible to TP place to place. And that's Chili, who is the owner of the grid, who very kindly, she had a medical thing that she had to take care of, but she rushed back from it so that she could be with us in person. So what a sweetheart. You know, people put their real life on hold just for our virtual trips.
Dedicated
sweet
people.
lady.
They always used to say real life comes first.
Oh my
but you
gosh.
meet these people.
Well, it does. Crowns.
Wonderful.
And we should mention Edison, that he's like the grid guru and was taking care of the service during our visit. So thanks very much to him for watching out for us.
Oh, does he build lighthouses? Never mind. That was another inside joke on my part. Nobody understands. Right. Okay. More long shot pictures here. Yeah. Those. I know that those artworks from somewhere. There may be AI here, but I from way back when I know the original artist. That's obviously inspired by.
Well, an aspect of this also was dealing with bodily pain, if I recall.
Yes, there was a whole pain section. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Yeah. Yeah, I think on the film I've taken of it, I sort of panned in on the section titles. And
Yep.
things, actually. And nice picture there. What I will do is I'll strictly as a side thing here. This is the one of the other place which is on RS Grid that I took this morning, quite literally. And of course, the galleries here, there's the same content, but the layout of the galleries is very different. And it says, you know, they're adding new ones one by one, but I guess that's been replaced by the grid we were just looking at. But as Thirza mentioned, there's also something here. It's not just the gallery. Next to the gallery, there's this build of, I forget, I haven't put it in my title, unfortunately, but it's a real life building. Do you remember what this is? You mentioned it a minute ago, Thirza, didn't you?
Oh, yes, this is Sintra. This is a castle in Portugal, which is very close to where Pat lives. So
Right.
it's very beloved by her. And of course,
I
it's a
read
gorgeous
real
place.
life Sintra in Portugal.
Mm.
It's nice
Ernest
to-
Moncrief too. Yeah.
Very lovely.
Yeah, the thing that attracted to me when I saw this was, of course, Portuguese is one of the languages this year at the HIE, and it said Portugal. I thought, oh, we'll go and check that out for footage. And then I got a bit of a shock. I've not been here before, you know. I hadn't, but of course, the content is very much the same. But yeah, that was.
And Pat, of course, is helping out with HIE with some of the translations. So we're very grateful to have her on the team. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So then we did. But again, you know, when I got to bits like this, I was thinking, hang on, that was on the other place too, you know. So some differences here, but not much. But anyway, that was just let's head back to our actual safari roundup. And yeah, our second stop of the week was Safari meets its Speculoos. Speculoos. This is sharing and caring again. Right. Okay.
Yes, not sharing and caring grid this time. We're on Speculoos grid. Speculoos is a kind of it's a biscuit. It's like it's a cookie that they have in Belgium, and that's where the name of the grid comes from. And the grid belongs to Gudule Lapointe, and he was welcoming us to the grid just for a very surreal final safari visit. Gudule also sings, so we were treated to some of the songs from the album that Gudule, together with a group, is making in real life. So it was a kind of a singing and sandy and swimming and totally surreal last hour of the safari this time. And I could see James has found somewhere to sit.
Found somewhere to sit. It seems to be balancing against somebody else who's also sitting in the opposite direction. I can't see the seat.
I think that was Forrest that joined in on the umbrella. Yeah.
Popping each other up, as it were. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found this build very odd. It had these photographic vantages that you can see there. There was nothing behind them, just dummy building. You couldn't go in or anything. And then there was they were on a beach. And then to top it all, global warming hit. The sea level has risen somewhat substantially. So, you know, you look at it in land and think, is this resed right? Is this meant to be like this? But it was. It's intentional. So there you go. Moody shot there.
Mm-hmm.
What on earth is that? Everything's going funny today. It's just wrong time. Right. Yeah, some people swimming. I was in the water, but I couldn't figure out how to swim, so I just paddled to shore again, actually. Never mind. The animation must have been hidden somewhere. Right?
It was in the life preserver smell.
Oh, of course it would be. Yeah, right. Okay. I think I have used down some of those. Back on.
Yeah, so it was really nice because it was our final hour of the safari. Many people dropped in just to say hello, including a shout out to Ellen, who of course lives over in Japan. So it was lovely to see her. And Ernest was there, and Luna Lunaria popped in, and Roth and Angelic. So many people came along just to say hi and participate because it was the final safari until we start again in April. It'll be just after the HIE that we start up again, the final week of April.
It's funny, it's quite a short break, really, but it's still, you know, you said the last safari of the season has got this epical, you know, thing like a end of year or something. But it's, we are back before too long, of course. And this is the band, isn't it? Well, I think
that's right. Very unusual songs, nice songs. The very last one they sung, I think we were kind of late by the time we got to the final song, which is actually about virtual worlds.
Yeah.
But you can find them all on YouTube. So maybe we can put in a link in the comments of this episode of Inworld Review so that anybody who wants to can go and listen to the songs for themselves.
And if she's released a live album, it may well be on Spotify, which of course is the general place to hunt for music on its own without, well, YouTube music is music with nothing, no pictures, isn't it? Odd. Yeah, nice little lineup here. The three kind of backing singers and yeah, looking good, looking good. There we are, all dancing away. Oh, look at those moves. Making up for all that time sitting.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. I can't find myself. I was there. So, oh, there I am. Still at the front. Never mind. And that's it. That's it for that one. Okay, so we can move back on and to a bit of a more formal introduction now for our guests, because we are going to be looking at Jimmy Olsen's work. Principally, and Xenon Darrow is going to help us get through commenting and all that. So welcome to both of you again. In order, I'll say welcome, Jimmy.
Hello, thanks.
And welcome, Xenon.
Hi, how are you? I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely great. Absolutely great. We're glad to have you. So we did sort of rummage around, or plan around a bit before we came on air to decide sort of what order we do things in. One of the things I got is a video, which is a collage slideshow, as it were, that you made rather than bring a slideshow like many of our guests do. So I thought we'd show that one in sort of about the halfway point, because it's video, but it's a slideshow, so it's got a slightly different move to video proper. Focusing in the week, I actually went to pick up some footage of you. My first stop was the alternate. I was searching for alternative metaverse grid the other day and I couldn't find it anywhere. Right, alternate metaverse grid, and I went to a region called Flora, and then there was a sound and light museum, and then there was for some reason I haven't put it in the title here. It's got a funny name, hasn't it? What was the name of the third region I went to? Okay, well we'll get to it when I share. So I'm gonna boot up this. What was I actually? Okay, I'm going to just as a briefing here. I'm going to first of all, I'm actually going to show a video that it's rather older. It's only a couple of minutes though, called "Bringing Learning to Life."
Yeah, that's my video.
Yeah, so I think this has its own soundtrack, but I'll bring it down if you want to talk over it.
Yes, and that soundtrack is royalty free. So, and I'm going to say something over this. These
Yeah.
are images, they're photographs of a region that I have called Abandoned Hope. And that is a region that I created that is going to be the center stone of an instructional design course that I teach. So it'll be like a 3D immersive environment for you to get a feel for instructional design and what it means.
It's very pleasant looking. I mean, you know, again, just a lot of
Well, it kind of goes into everything
sometimes the
else.
still image. Sorry?
Go ahead. No, you go.
I was just going to say, sometimes still images capture things, you know, that however much you get in video, they're just, you know, just still images. I recognize that building. So.
Well, and this place is all about, you know, exploring, right? And for me, everything I'm doing in the virtual world is about inspiring learning spaces. And so even though this this will be for people who are in world, the course itself won't be in world, but this will be the way people can explore instructional design.
It looks inviting, you know, in exploration sense. I do actually, as well, you know, attest to. I do like landscapey sort of builds where one can wander and, if necessary, camera around too, you know, and almost like get lost in the wild, remote spaces at the edge of the hypergrid or something.
That is the intention for me. The best spaces are the ones where you can literally get lost.
Yeah.
And I know this region pretty well. It's a 6x6, but
Right.
you could, if you just went through and walked it and really took your time, you're looking at a 4-hour experience.
Yeah.
And this right here is going to become the temple of learning. And there are like really great rooms in it. And there's about 6 of them, and each one will become a example of each major learning theory, right? Like cognitive theory, behavioral theory. And there'll be things in the rooms that you can interact with that exemplify the applications of those theories.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, I'm going to interrupt us a little bit here because when I saw that clip, I thought it sort of goes a little bit with this other clip that came in. I think it's supposed to be yesterday, actually. Introduction to Open Simulator. Now, I'm sure that for most, well, and maybe there are people watching this show who aren't fully aware of what it's all about. But certainly our regulars that already know all this stuff. But it's a good little sort of advert, and well, you'll see why. Next reality is one of the Open Simulator grids.
Hi everyone, Michelle here.
I don't think it's an avatar, and I don't think she's AI, but I might be wrong.
And discussing its incredible features and functionality. Open Simulator is an open source multi-purpose.
It's very quiet, Mel. I don't suppose you can turn it up.
Okay, yeah.
Virtual world with a variety of features and functionalities. Open Simulator provides endless possibilities for designing and building your own unique virtual world environment. One of the standout features is the ability to import 3D models from popular modeling software like Blender. There are also many websites that provide 3D models that can be downloaded and imported into an OpenSim world. OpenSim also gives you the ability to create new 3D models directly within your world. There are many different viewers available. That gives you access to OpenSim's virtual worlds. So imagine the endless opportunities this provides for creating unique environments and experiences. Another fantastic aspect of Open Simulator is its flexibility, as it supports a variety of region backends, allowing you to choose from different providers depending on your needs or preferences. Overall, Open Simulator is an incredibly powerful and versatile tool for those seeking to create their own virtual world. With its wide range of features and customization options, you can truly make a virtual world your own. Thank you so much for joining me today in exploring this amazing software. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Until next time, happy virtual world exploring.
Well, I don't really care how that was made. I think it's a jolly good promo video, really.
Nice. That's a nice video. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well
I mean, the mixture of the either the AI or the real, even the voice sounds a bit AI at times, but it looks like, you know, very quick, fast put together, says it all, and yeah, great advert, really. I think that would be recycled quite a bit if they have their way. The person who posted it is not even a familiar name to me. It wasn't in my, it was connected to another thing. So, but it's fresh off the presses, so to speak. Anyway, that I must admit was a bit of an interlude there, but
No, I think it's relevant. Like you said, yeah, it's about possibility.
If I'm showing two together, the possibilities you raised in your one beforehand, about the environments, the two sort of they're not the same, but they sort of fit together in a way, actually.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. I'm going to move now right to the film I took during the week. This picture is on Wolf Territories, and it's the Europa, the moon of Jupiter, which of course is Jimmy's thing. I know. Well, no, this is actually all Jimmy's region. So maybe we'll hand over to Jimmy here to talk us through this a bit. I'll just check out. Oh, this is mine, so there's no need to mute it anymore. Right. So yeah, what inspired this? I love this thing on the top of the dome. It took me a while to get inside.
The evil furball, yeah. Watching.
Yeah. At first, I thought it might have something to do with the wolf. A certain wolf is in the audience here, in fact. But no, it took me. Yeah, I kept on getting my mouse stuck outside the dome, and it's like if
it's kind of
got
tricky.
the glass layer in the middle. But eventually, I got in there, only to find I don't know whether it's on film or not. But oh yes, I fell through right all the way through. So I continued later when I found myself on solid ground. And yeah, there I am. Tell us what we're seeing, if you would.
I don't know when you were there, you played the environment, EP Sky. It was a little bit dark, but you could see the good Jupiter.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know if it's set.
I usually, if I can, just to tend to film at normal midday or something, unless there's a particularly attractive thing.
Yeah.
From a video point of view, I will pick up more that way. If it's dark, you lose bits of detail, and if it's even sunrise and sunset, give us sort of.
Because I try to make as much.
That is a shame though, because it's supposed to be. It's a place in space, so it kind of loses something where you don't have the dark sky outside. I understand.
Yeah, it's kind of foggy.
I will say,
I try to make as great as possible. You're far away from the sun. The day cycle is 84 hours. I try to make as real as possible. Have a lot of limitation in EP though, but yeah.
Are you able to adjust in the viewer the time cycle?
Yeah. And the Firestorm actually can do that. And I set you can make for 1 week the day cycle. By default is a 3 hours day, 1 hour a night, right? That's by default, but you can change whatever you want. And on my scene, I have a private scene in MV, and I do real life Norway time, and then I play 24 hours. So yeah, it's doable. But there's a lot of limitation in EP though. There's a lot of limitation I don't like much, but better than the noon sky.
So your sky,
it's very beautiful, and with the dark sky, everything comes to life. All the colors come to life. I was there the other day. It's absolutely magnificent what you've done, Jim.
But I understand, for recording probably be that.
Yeah.
I mean, part of what Jimmy brings to the table is the use of light.
Yeah.
So when you come visit Europa, you definitely want to be on shared environment.
Yeah. That is my oversight, really. I can't believe because I knew I was in the Ring of Sand. I just, I don't know. For some reason, I just stuck with Deadlight and forgot to,
No, I mean, you're right. It makes the video is clearer, but when we show those images at the beginning of that snapshot video that I did, you'll see the light emphasis in that.
Yeah, sure. And presumably,
my favorite part was the taxi. Those wonderful glowing orbs of the taxi. I think that's absolutely fantastic the way you did that.
The Magabaga bubble,
Yes, it's just beautiful.
People, I mean, it's funny. I have a lot of people asking. Yeah, I have a lot of people asking why the name is Magabaga, and you can blame Furball because of that. I have made. I don't know if you were there. I made an alien speech. I have the train system of the speakers. I have the train. The way I have done it actually was Oromo. is a language spoken in Africa, and I make a Polish guy saying that, and speech to text to speech softwares and stuff. And Furball, the last time he was in Europe, and I say, oh, that sounds like a Magabaga. I feel I like the name, so yeah, like everything now is Magabaga. I have the Magabaga Maglev, Magabaga Bubble. Yeah, so
The
it's
rest
taken
is
idea.
history. That wolf. There's so much that you can blame him for, including
Now,
that.
you for blame you blame Max as a friend. He wasn't even
Yes.
here. Probably he crashed. I have this joke, inside joke since the GCG. So everything is Max's fault. Okay, everything that cannot be explained OpenSea is Max's fault. Yeah. Probably he's
It's
laughing
all
right now. Yeah.
Max's
One of
fault.
the
Yeah.
things that sort of took me aback and took a while to get used to, but I've never seen anything quite like it before, was the way you mixed the building, right? Solid sort of geometry things with the foliage and stuff. Some of it really oversized. It gives it a very unique feel. Like, I've seen high tech builds before. I've obviously seen lots of nature builds, but the mixture here of the foliage and sort of elements of life inside the dome,
And everything is in the air because we have the Magabaga spider that, and some people don't like much this. Like Indigo, my friend, yeah, she has a house there. I hate this spider, so I can stay here forever in the house, never be in the ground. So yeah, so we do everything in the air. Actually, the city. That's the idea.
Perfect.
By the way, that one that you where all the stained glass, that's all my IA stained glass art. That's my alt's place to live. That's her house.
Yeah, the art that was good. Yeah, it's not until you get really inside it, and it's a bit difficult. I'd have been there I wouldn't be able to film so much if I'd gone to the ground and sort of started walking around, because apart from the trick floors, even if I was on solid ground all the while, that'd be a long journey there, because there's a lot of height involved, as well as the width and height, the width of length of the sim itself. So anyway, I've now moved to this one, which is the one you actually sent us, which is actually a slideshow in video form. So I'll leave you to talk through this, but the convenient thing is that this actually begins with the same build on Europa. So
yeah, and these are just photographs that I did. I like to do photography. I'm not the best at it, but I do enjoy it. But I think it captures the lighting really well. And, I think it also, Europa is such a great example of what, in my opinion, what I see from Jimmy, which is we start with these minimalist designs and then start adding features, adding angles, light, sound, movement.
Yeah, it's a long process for building a scene. You need to feel the region, so it's not the thing we do one day. Yeah.
But you
need to feel the region. Yeah.
Yeah, and it creates such this inspiring space, right? So Virtual World Educational Consortium is now coming to Wolf Territories, and I actually showed them Europa. I know, right? That's me on the bike.
They follow you.
They follow you. So you're down there riding on the Tron bikes, and it's a lot of fun. That's the mall, by the way. So Jimmy made this fabulous mall. It has nearly everything in the build. Jimmy, as y'all know, he does these fabulous shopping places, and I love them because it's like a giant rummage sale. And this is Shewa too. This is something that he asked a couple of us to design, and particularly, my friend Sage Morningstar was really this is her brainchild. And it is your high fashion boutique, right?
But this is here, by the way. She's watching us.
Yeah,
she's the one. She's the reason of be what too. It was funny because she got a COVID and her voice was like really bad. I thought, oh my god, you sound like a Watu from Star Wars. And I make a joke.
He's her mercilessly.
This was funny. Like
now, this is at Flora. What you're seeing here, this is his store, Flora. And one of the reasons I went through and took photos of this is when you go to Flora, one of the powerful impacts is you get to see examples that Jimmy's made of what you can do, right? Of how you can utilize these plants and foliage and these other elements, light, And I just think these are such powerful images, right? So you go there not just to get this stuff, but to be inspired for creating these really amazing immersive environments.
Well, that really sums it up,
of...
because if you think about it, how much Jimmy's content has enriched other people's builds. I mean, you just anywhere you go in OpenSim, really, if there's any kind of realistic landscape environment, or even otherworldly landscape environment, you immediately will see the trees, you will see the swamp, you will see the desert environment, all these wonderful products. And you know, the first thing you think, oh yes, this looks like somebody's been to Flora. And so,
Right.
yeah, he has shaped the OpenSim landscape as we know it, I would say.
Right. And I think, you know, before we knew Jimmy was going to be on the show, you asked me what his art like what it means to me. And what I say about that, or his building, is I just see this huge commitment to beautiful spaces. So he likes to make these beautiful spaces, and then he's going to provide things so that other people can make beautiful spaces, right?
Yeah, I have that thought even when I was in Second Life. You know, like I want people build using the best stuffs or the best quality. I don't even call myself a creator. I like to say I'm a modifier. So I like to enhance the stuff that are already here. You know?
I was impressed by that last slide. In fact, I'll just slip it back a little bit. A little touch that you don't often see when people have done a build like this with the props. The fact that thing that is mowing the corn or whatever it is halfway through its job. It's not just part of it. You've actually positioned it so that it's behind it's already mowed, and ahead it's got the mowing done. There's so many people would just dump. So many people would just dump the thing there, and think, oh, that says it all, and it doesn't.
I think it's a combine, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what kind it is, but it just looks like it's working.
I know, right? It's powerful. And so this is the sound in the Museum of Light and Sound. And again, when you go there, the environment itself is amazing, right? You've got the crystals, you've got the trees, you've got a track there with things running.
Absolutely, it's a destination in itself, isn't it? Really, even if you don't need anything, you just go there just to look how pretty it is.
Correct.
And to take in all the
And the other thing I like about his work is, like, these stores, it's kind of the best of the best. So it's not, this is not a huge place with thousands of items. You're picking from the very best, right? It's Neiman Marcus.
I'm a collector.
Agree.
And this is
because there are so many shops where you go and there's like a percentage of really interesting stuff, and then there's an awful lot of really rather old and tired freebies offered. So I totally agree with you. When you go there, you know you're going to find something interesting.
And
here with the greedy shop.
I actually picked up a couple of the lighting rigs from there too. They're just sort of
yes.
As a Games of Thrones grid table,
yeah.
So explain this, Jimmy. How come so many different styles of these games? So what was your thinking there? I mean, somebody might say, well, greedy is greedy.
My idea actually was just do it for myself when I started. It was a log grid table. I was a student GCG. And I said, well, let's just, I hate the table. It was really newbie style. But let's just modify, let's just sort of play with it. And it was an old script that time. And I modified it, and the people like, oh, can I have a copy? Can I have a copy? And they ask me all the time. So, okay, well. And that's start to get to the Greedy Museum. At the time, it was on my scene, the Tromso I had on GCG. And then I make a second style. People ask me, can you make one that fit my living room? Or I have like a space station scene. Can you make something high tech? And that's I think now I have like a 63 tables. If I'm not wrong.
Looking at them in the video where they're all scattered around the region, I thought, well, it's like chess clubs or clubs, where a load of people come and play. And, if they came every night, they could just have a different table each night for variety.
And I have a lot of friends of my friend Valduran, is on MV, and then Adami. They helped me for the script for update, because the original table was really was not good. There was not much roles, and if one player unseat, the game was reset. I don't know if you remember those tables. So they helped me for this improvement and stuff, and I work on the layout, so the layout design was me. So it's like it's like that's why I like OpenSea. People help each other. You don't see that in Second Life at all.
Okay.
And,
Not quite so much. No, not quite so much.
The sharing and caring. Not quite there in Lindenwold.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not only the stuff, but also the scripts, right? The scripts that people they bring the scripts to here and they hands. And they give away. It's just nice. Like
there's a lot of generosity. I think probably if you think back to the early days of Second Life, it was more like that. But obviously times have changed. So that's a great quality a tradition that you find in OpenSim. Let's hope we never lose it.
Yeah, so if you have learned in OpenSea that you share your stuff, because eventually you're gonna lose it. Maybe asset broken, or you just delete by inventory, close grids. I know, and then you always can get it back.
Speaking about the tables,
you go. I will go to a shop or something to get another copy of something I've lost or whatever, and of course it's gone. But in OpenSim, it's almost certain you will come across it one day again somewhere.
What were you saying about the tables?
There's a comment on YouTube from Judy Beresford. I used my vampire table you made for me.
Oh, the vampire,
yeah.
Actually, I made this for Chig, and Chig is the friend. She's here with us. The vampire, Chig Eberdeen, she's here.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, she asked me, can I make something from the cast stuff? Yeah, that's what I have for. I'm pretty much covered in everything. If there's still one to do, just let me know. But I think 6 free. I think it's a lot already. I'm running out of ideas. This picture is for my. That's for my private sim in the MV. It's based on North Norway, Tromsø. So that's actual picture. I make the sky.
This presumably has a kind of artificial surround on it, does it? It's sort of like
and I make it like a real life. It has a real life Norway time. So if it's cloudy there, it's gonna be cloud in my sim. So if it's raining or snowing, I have it scripted, so it change automatically, 5 minutes. And I play the EP Sky. I'm a very accurate EP Sky on my sim. I update it once a week, and I have the sun position, azimuth, and where the sun is and horizon. I'm very creative, and I like the stuff. So
wonderful.
I like to play the time zone thing. Then it's 24 hours there inside. So that's why pretty much a healthy year is frozen, like you see in the picture. That's how Norway is.
I mentioned this earlier, actually, not when we've been on air before. This is the point where I pause and say, beehives. I've seen plenty of bees, but not beehives. I mean, it's a little
right.
And they look. You know what they are immediately when you see them. It's.
And we talked about this earlier before the show started. This build is called La Khalifa, and it's a build that is a proof of concept site that exists in Italy. It was part of a landscape architecture project that's a friend of mine that goes to grad school at a very prestigious art school in San Francisco. And the concept of La Khalifa is that this site is decaying, and rather than going in and trying to rebuild and restore, letting everything appear to go to seed with all these beautiful wildflowers, but this is actually cultivated. It's just designed to look like that everything is growing wild. And so the bees pollinate the flowers, they produce local honey. The flowers are used in pigments, so this becomes an artist colony. And this was all done as a proof of concept. And the Italian government actually is the one who gave the project to the students. But the reason I love this project for so many reasons. One is it's just such, stark beauty and natural beauty. And then the other reason is that so many of these plants are Jimmy's plants, right? And Contessa Lacombe is the one who actually made this build, but all of our little group of friends contributed to it. But you're looking at about 75% of the plants are Jimmy's plants. And it's just such a great example of something that he's done and made available, actually impacting and representing something that's a real life, application, right?
Yeah.
Really giving people
That's
that.
true, and I'm glad you brought that up, because there's a place that it no longer exists. It was on Serenity Grid, which sadly went offline last summer. Serenity Grid was by L1 Elan, and he's a French builder, and he had rebuilt the House of Monet with the Giverny, with the garden, but which was so precisely like the real thing. If you know the real place, it was quite shocking to go in there and see how exactly he'd been able to reproduce it. And guess whose plants he had used?
Jimmy's, yeah, they're just gorgeous. Yeah. And here's
very subtle and lifelike. Yes.
Well, and here's something really exciting. Right now, La Khalifa just lives on one of my regions, but we just formed a group when Virtual World Education Consortium decided to come to Wolf Territories, and this is all in its inception right now. We formed an educational group in Wolf Territories to support that, called the Wolf Territories Education Community. That region for the group will have La Khalifa as the centerpiece, and it'll be designed with meeting spaces around it. So when you're meeting in these inspiring spaces, you're out in nature, right? And you're doing something that you couldn't do in the real world. I can't take us all to Italy and we sit outside in this area that's actually representative 25, 30 years into the future. That's something we can't do. And that, in my opinion, is how we need to be using the virtual world, doing things we cannot do otherwise, and immersing learners that way.
Yeah, that's true. That's very much what we try to do on Safari. Many times we'll go to places that either no longer exist or couldn't exist in reality, or are places that many of the people in the group probably would never have the opportunity to visit. So along with kind of more fun and relaxing kind of destinations, it's that really kind of it's the heart, if you will, of OpenSim to do that. Of course, there's many other uses of OpenSim, and they're all great too. But that really is it's the heartbeat that keeps OpenSim relevant. Well, I agree with you there.
The thing is, learning is an environment, right? And I think we forget that. We look at learning as doing, right? You're doing, you're telling, but I believe in learning environments. We learn every single day, and OpenSim is such an amazing example of people who are lifelong learners coming here, because we really take for granted the average age range in OpenSim. These are people that fall outside the spectrum of that age range being comfortable with technology, and everybody really takes for granted what they do in here. It's amazing stuff, and it just represents this incredible group of the population that is taken for granted, as well as the neuroplasticity that you're creating when you are in these environments, creating these environments, and that makes a huge difference in how your brain is continuing to develop and stay in great shape.
Well, that's true. That's true, and of course, the ingenuity of OpenSim is the huge thing, isn't it? Everybody wants. I think Jimmy said it before. He likes to modify things. He doesn't consider himself so much a builder as a modifier.
Right.
I think almost everybody can take that. But yes, exactly. You find something and you fix it the way you would like it to be. It may not actually be better than it was originally, but it's better for you. It's your version.
I'll just interrupt here to say we're just about to move on to the next film, which is very much the shops and all the stuff of Jimmy's that you can pick up, starting at Flora, then at Sound and Light, and then to the Greedy area. So that, if you wonder, that's the new film that's running now, or will be when it starts.
So, Jimmy, how did you discover OpenSim? What was your road? What was your journey to get here?
I have an avatar. Well, my oldest avatar here was from Metropolis. And I confess you, I have not used that much. At the time, I didn't know that's why we could hypergrid. everything was too ugly. There was not much interest. But what actually make me come here definitely, shorter version. I've been banned for Second Life. That's the short version. I piece of Lyndon's friend. Yeah, and I'm stuck here. But I tell you, it was the best thing that happened anyway. And then yeah, well, now I have all the work and stuff. We have help each other for scripts, and I have good friends that help me for scripts. I have a huge collection of scripts. Every time I share
First
on
time,
open
first time
source.
I have seen foliage used to for the purposes of modesty. There.
So you have a lot of scripts then, Jimmy. But so is that something else you would consider having as a script museum, or do you think that's not visual enough for your purposes? Or is that
Well, I
an
have the
idea?
website. Yeah, but we have even the website opens in Word to have a sector that people can share scripts.
Oh, cool.
And I have share a lot, and so does other people. But yeah, it could be an idea. Just I'm not much a fan of building much things right now. That's what I had problem with my hands. I do things slowly. I wasn't even supposed to build a raw, but that's a fur ball from the sim there. Okay, let's do
When the
something.
fur ball calls,
Yeah.
Right.
what are you gonna do?
And I had actually this Space City was an older project. I have on my a computer of my friend from 2018, and I modify, of course, completely different from the original. But yeah, I never stop. And just when I have the pain, that's a hernia in my neck, it actually make my body stiff. So for building, it's not much painful, but for typing for me, oh my god, 2 sentences is like writing a Bible in 5 language. Like it's difficult for me
Right.
a
I
lot.
remember you saying, yeah.
Yeah, and eventually I need to stop. But I guess I have built a lot, right? For in spite of my hands, but
Seems like it.
Yes. Yeah.
I never stop. Yeah, that's true. I regret the next day, but
So-
yeah, I never stop.
So the shops have an obvious purpose. I was wondering, is the purpose of Europa? I mean, obviously it's a work of art in itself, but is your idea to have that as a venue for parties, and obviously it's partly a shop as well. Are you going to
A bit
enlarge
of
the
everything.
shop
My,
part, or
yeah,
what's your thoughts?
a bit of everything anyway. Just more to show the art itself and have the mall, the Magabaga Mall there in Sky. I myself, I'm not keen for parties or events. I even tell my friends, even here, I can make sure that say that I say dolls dancing.
Yes, there he goes.
Yeah, I've got to say, going back to Europa, actually, it would make a very good film set. In the Blade Runner sort of genre, if you see what I mean. The mixture.
Yeah, that's true. You can imagine people running about in there. Sure.
You'd have to explore it for a while to make sure you're not going to fall through floors and stuff. But I mean, it has that move. It has that.
I can imagine a really good taxi car chase. Wouldn't that be neat? With them firing at each other with those baubles there.
Yeah, there's not much room for the chase, actually. There's no highways or anything. It's all little bits. But no, yeah, I don't know. It just felt like there's a movie waiting in here to be told, a story waiting to be told.
But if you want a dolls dancing, yeah, Xeno likes this, yeah. She's the girl.
Like
but you
half the
barely
people
going to
I
see
know
me in
now.
the events, yeah. You barely going to see me in the events, yeah.
He's
Yeah,
telling all his secrets now.
Yeah.
Oh, this.
Oh, Xeno, yeah, poor Xeno. Xeno suffered from me. I have my tricky side that she was living my sin, and all the 10x10 I had an NV. And I make a script that when she opened the door, explode.
And I was bringing someone there to show them my place, and we step in. I open the door, and suddenly there's light, and I'm like, where am I? And this poor guy who's a noob is eyeing me, going, "What? Where am I going out the ocean?" I must have gone 1,500 meters in the air.
I made the one for Chig. Chig is even here. I made a script that makes the random sound. The different intervals, and I put inside Chig's avatar, and they were like, the coughing sound. And I forget she had it. Like 1 year. Why the sound is coming from?
Talking of where am I? I'm not quite sure where I stumbled upon this building. It was I don't think the building was for sale. It was on one of your regions. Kind of impressive.
Oh, that's Flora. Yeah, that's an mountain sector. Yeah. I didn't set for copy. No.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have been blind
Yeah.
in film mode anyway. But yeah,
I still have a. I mean, in my scenes, despite of all the stuff I have there, I'm not using a 1/10 I have in my inventory. So maybe another scenes to come, but it's a lot of work. Huh,
yeah, that's the thing
That'd
about
be
it.
wonderful.
It's about the thing about
such a popular
inventory.
place.
Special Flora. Oh my God, Flora took a long time. Yeah. Last I check, I have like a 73 vendors full of stuff. So.
Oh! Now this bit's coming up. That's rather interesting. I know somebody who actually tried playing with the physics of this in OpenSim a few years ago, where they wanted what they had is to have the sea level on one sim higher than on the other. So as you came towards one, you saw a waterfall, and then it was just hung out. But there was no way, in the physics sense, the only way you could do it was to lift the position of the water. So you couldn't actually create a genuine thing.
Yeah, having wolf
really
territory can even change the tide. Yeah.
Yeah, because there you actually managed to, have the water and the sort of dam, I guess.
Oh, that's in my HUD, yeah, for the weather. I put it in my sim. Yeah.
I picked up this thing too. I haven't played with it yet.
Well, this version is not scripted one because it's like not all people will be able to modify line inside script, so I make it more simple.
Yeah.
But on my scene is everything's automatic. I just make one click and I change all the trees for the seasons. One click to change for the rain or snow. So yeah. So some few work in the beginning, but I don't need to do anything more.
That's useful. I know a lot of people who have regions, they'll close down for a month while they convert spring to summer. Again in the autumn.
Yeah, make a real life
they literally go through it, changing every little bit, I like the idea of 4 buttons. Name your season. Oh, this is what I was thinking with the greedy tables here. There's just so many variations you've got. You can imagine you can imagine a club coming here. Oh, we'll try that table today, and same game, different table, kind of thing.
If you have an idea for the 64, let me know. But eventually, have people, me, been here in Word or OpenSim Word. They can you make a table for this thematic? Yeah, like the Eastern one. Yeah.
They can get you on OpenSim World. Is that the best place to find you?
Normally is, because normally, hypergrid, right? They can cap the IMs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's funny, OpenSim World is quite useful, but it's oddly enough, there's a lot of people aren't there. The same with regions too. It's almost as though there's, a select choice rather than a reflection.
Oh, you can always leave a message. A person will read it later. I think that's how I got hold of Jimmy to invite him to come on the show. Obviously, people are in different time zones, but the great thing is you just leave a message, and when they get around to it, they'll read it and reply. Like somebody did the other day to me after 2.5 years, replied finally to a message on OpenSim World. So
that's more
eventually
you can't rely.
That sounds like it was left to the British Post Office, to be honest. 2.5 years. That's about average, Okay.
Oh, Chick say note cards. Yeah, note cards another useful thing to do. Note cards. But what happened for note cards? Yeah, but what happened, Chick, for note cards? I had a note card sent by someone months ago. I got note card, but I was never notified. I had a note card, so can be a tricky, cannot work properly.
That's so true, Jimmy. This thing that they've taken away the notification of items given to you when you're offline is absolutely
so either really. Discord or OpenSim Word was the best for fun.
Mm-hmm. So is there one item? Is there other particular style of items that you particularly remember creating first, Jimmy? What did you start with when you started making things and bringing things in world? Do you remember that far back?
Well, the first stuff that I read, it was just the grid table, the one I modified. And also, it's still in GCG. I was doing always play the North Norway, Tromsø, the city. And I think, well, okay, I don't find any decent trees for like a North Forest. So I try modify myself. And if okay, you have one tree here, another tree there. Friends ask me. And at the end, I have a big collection. Okay, let me just do the sim. No, that's not how floors start. It was actually starting the Sakrarian. That's a White Angel, the donor Sakrarian offered me the sin, so all the sins are there. And after they become close, I ask White Off, and do you mind to put them in name V? And then yeah, because I want people getting it. Man. So what's the point? If it's a closed grid, nobody can go there. So.
That's right.
Yeah. That was why I think it's funny. I see some creators, they do the sins, they make stuff no modify, no transfer. So what's the point, man? You're giving us stuff to make full perm. I don't care, right? Like full perm, call it yours, modify. And I see some people, they make no modify, no transfer, just to bring people the sins. But I tell you, full perm, and still people come to my sim. Special floor. I have a lot of people every day. Like 30,
the
40
museum
people every
here
day.
was interesting because there was a lot more, that you got the tower of levels there, but also depending on which side you enter it from, it's a different bit. So there's a lot more little sort of rooms, as it were, in there than you realize at first. So it's quite an adventure.
It's a lot of things.
Camming through the windows,
It's another thing that people love a lot in my sims that I hate really. We go to sim, oh, there's a new stuff, a new furniture or whatsoever. And then you go there and say, where the damn thing is. You take forever to find. An arrow search doesn't work properly. And it depends on where greedy you're coming. And the mine scenes, they say, okay, there's a new tree. So go to the forest sector, box 5. So you just go there, straight to there. I mean, I don't see the point make the avatar look around. They will, eventually, if they like the sim.
That's true. Yes, and I think that's so true about your sims are interesting to look at, even if a person's not specifically looking for any one item. It's just fun to shop there and just take it all in. Brilliant work. Yeah,
I'm organized like that in the real life. That's everything I do in my life. Even my doll's life is organized, shared into categories. And I tease Xenon on that matter because of her inventory. Oh my God, it's a mess. And they say women are more organized than men.
Whose inventory is not a mess.
And yet
mine
I find
perfect,
things for you that you can't find.
So there
you can't find it because it's a mess.
This is when two people working together kill it.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It's like a really bad symbiosis. Yeah. Or is that parasitic? I don't know.
And the same one more organized.
We're out of the film footage now, and in fact, it's a good timing because we're about out of time on the show too. So, what have you got in store for the future? I think that's the question we haven't asked, actually, is it? I mean, is the Europa build, for example, something you're really focused on at the moment, as opposed to the other builds, or you distributed over all of them, or if you got any new
what are you working now? Well, Furball is helping me in this script because for Europa there are 9 4x4s. So I have my Magalev train that goes for all the 9 regions, but something's going on script that the train's not work properly. So he's helping with this matter. The script is kind of a little bit tricky. There's InterSyn script, and that's it. Eventually people can go.
Yeah,
that's the project you're working.
Yeah, because we've spoken to Wolf on several occasions actually, and the sort of back end of all the stuff he can do there is pretty remarkable. But the idea that you've got a 9x9 region and another 9x9 region, and you could have a train going through the whole of it, smoothly is phenomenal. You could log in, get on the train, and spend a real 8-hour journey. Have a virtual version of the Trans-Siberian Express or the Orient Express. The
virtual
time-consuming virtual recreations. And Xenon, are you working? Because obviously you don't just work together; you work individually too. So you're working on anything particular as well?
Well,
She's
let's be
working
clear. I
full-time.
don't build anything. I am a project manager. I
Oh,
have
right. You're bossing around.
amazing
Yeah.
friends who are talented and lovely people. And, you know, they are so helpful and help me create these amazing spaces. I just became the ambassador for Virtual World's education consortium.
Oh, yes, I know them. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we just put up a region for them in Wolf Territories.
Oh, that could
Yeah,
be.
Lone
Yeah.
is great. He actually gives 501s and educational communities or entities free 4x4s,
Right.
complimentary 4x4s for their efforts. So we immediately, we now have a VWEC 4x4. I've gotten something up there. We still are doing some work on it. And then because to support what we're doing with VWEC, we created what I refer to as Wolf Tech, which is Wolf Territories educational community.
Right.
And
okay.
that is another build. We've got that region, and right now we're in the middle of that build that Contessa Lacombe is doing, and it's stunning.
You know, I find this really interesting because there's always been a lot of talk about, Linden Lab took away our discounts, and a few years later they brought it back. And at the beginning there was a bit of an exodus into OpenSim, but I find it strange to this day that some of the major educational things are still in Second Life, especially as they have kind of captive audiences, tribes, if you like, that they can bring with them.
Let me say something about that. There's a lot of higher ed in Second Life. And honestly, part of that is because Second Life has had the marketing, right? They don't know about OpenSim.
Yeah,
and when they are shown OpenSim, they don't always get the possibility, right? So to give you an idea, when I brought Val Librarian and Ellie in here, the first place I took them to was Europa. And they flipped out because of the possibilities, right?
Yeah.
So then I took them to other places that on my regions that are being worked on, but it was done. It was sold because they got it. They got the possibility, right?
Yeah.
And they are at Kitely as well, but the focus of that is different than what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So making an inroads there, Lone has already got 2 universities, and one of them, I work for a major medical school. And one of the universities that is already at Wolf Territories is part of my system, part of the system that I'm in. But, we brought University of Texas Health Science Center. We helped them get the Reynolds grant back 15 years ago and brought them into Second Life. And during that time was the mass exodus of industry in there. And the reason was because Linden Labs changed their TOS to share your IP with you. Okay. So when you put something on the marketplace, when you put something in Second Life, you're actually agreeing that they have use of that IP as well in any format that they want. Well, that's going to prevent schools and grant entities and companies from coming in. But one of the big sells I have is here in OpenSim, these are individual grid owners, and you can a lot of the individual grid owners already have TOS that they don't want your IP, right? Your IP belongs to you. And I feel super confident that if we get a federal grant or anything like that, if needed, I know that Loan's going to say, hey, I'll sign this to make sure that we get this grant. Because
I think you make a really good point there, because you do have to protect them. And of course, there are educational institutions all over OpenSim, and so many grids have. Usually, it's kind of, I won't say it's on the quiet, because it's not that they're ashamed of it or anything, but they do try to keep a certain level of confidentiality, because many times, especially when it's involving smaller children, but there must be at least, I should think, 50 or 60 institutions that I've come across who have regions in OpenSim on all kinds of different grids. But it's exactly what you're saying. The idea that you can protect your content, that there isn't this big multinational kind of entity that's might at any time kind of pull the rug out from underneath you. You own your own
Right.
ores. You can
Yes.
keep your content. You could keep people out, and
This is, I
you
mean,
have a
it's
very good
huge.
one-to-one relationship with the grid owner, and I think
Well,
that's also huge.
you also don't have the level of, and believe me, we're all aware, right? Any virtual world, any game has drama, right? But you don't have the level of drama that would affect this type of organization. Like their chances of being hit every day are way lower
Drama
than
here? Where?
that are they're way lower than in Second Life, right? Where you have people just wandering around, you know, creating mischief.
Yeah, quite.
I really think that it is an awareness thing. You know, Joyce Bittencourt with
Oh yeah.
AvaCon has done, I mean, I met her in SL, you know, 20 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Has done a huge effort bringing education in here. I feel like a lot of it is the organizations are not aware of OpenSim. They're not seeing what they could do, but more importantly, they don't understand that they've already sold their IP to Linden Labs. They don't know that.
It's astonishing actually how you know, it's not just the walled garden that is what Linden Labs is. I mean, everything in it is so tightly controlled by the lab. There's no, you know, that silly, well, I don't know to say that, you know, what do they used to call it? Your world, your imagination. What they meant to say is our world on your imagination, you know.
And I'll probably be banned from SL after today, but you know, but I'm not saying
welcome
anything.
To the club.
Right, welcome to the club, right? I'm in good company. Right. But I'm not saying anything that's not explicitly outlined in the TOS.
Oh yeah,
and
right.
And that's why IBM and all those big corporations left overnight. When they changed that TOS, their attorneys were reviewing that.
Yeah,
it was over. They're out.
There's a, you know, I don't know. I mean, some of those big corporations, I mean, it was to be our job. The IP didn't really matter. I mean,
right.
You know, there were silly little things like logos getting pinched and putting on trainers.
Right.
But generally speaking, they knew that it was the high street aspect of Second Life. They knew that they wanted to put their brand on the high street to get to a new market, not to necessarily sell them anything, but just awareness. And you can't get that in OpenSim. OpenSim is where they put their, you know, their 3D design studios, and that will be locked down. It won't be on the hypergrid because they don't want people coming in and nicking their work. So that's the back end kind of thing, as opposed to, you know, the front end, the high street, which is Second Life. It's got the people. Don't know much about the kind of people it's got, you know, but it's more like a shopping emporium now, however big it is, than an actual artistic creative landscape. I mean, it's overlap. They've got the LEA sims and things for artists, and but I know what you mean about explaining to people. I've had people come for Second Life and say, use Firestorm. It's just like Second Life. You know how to use Second Life. It is, you can do much more here because you can't in Linden Labs. And somehow, I think one of the things that keeps them from leaving Second Life is they're often socially connected, not just to their own educational community, but over the years with other people in Second Life. And you know, I know people who they feel lost if they come over here because although they understand everything, half their friends are not on their friends list.
Right, their friends are back in SL, and there's been a really great. And there's so much left over from, you know, I got into SL. I was in business with a brilliant man. And he
what about your inventory there?
Yes, it was, And so he called me one day and said, "Hey, you got to look at this. I saw this in Business Week. You know, they were in Esquire. They were everywhere."
Yeah.
And I went in there and I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." And we immediately started building some things. I've been in the learning and development industry for 35 years and higher ed. And so we started, you know, doing things in there. And there were a huge number of people. The traffic was phenomenal, right? Well, when they did the IP thing, the traffic went way, way down. It kind of died for a while. Even now, you know, regions where I would go in the past and there would be, 50 people on an 8 sim area. That's not the case anymore. Unless there's some big event, I can go to, really popular areas and there's nobody there except me and maybe 3 other people. And the distribution of people changed dramatically from what it used to be. So part of this is, I don't know if y'all, there was a friend of mine, she passed away. Her name was Veritas. Everybody called her Very.
Oh, gosh,
she
yes.
had, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I remember her, yeah.
Also a brilliant educator, someone very committed to virtual world education, said she had done some specific research and that the same number of people, like there are the same number of original avatars or very close to it as Second Life here in OpenSim. But because we have the hypergrid, the distribution is completely skewed, right? So that's what she told me. Okay. Now I don't know how her research was done, but honestly, after getting back into Second Life, I can believe that.
I go back. Was it this week or the week before? I had to go back into Second Life for another show, and it was problems galore, lag and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Can't go. I want to get back to OpenSim where everything's fast and wonderful."
I was telling the Xenon all the times about Second Life. Well, I'm a businessman in real life, and I told her, Second Life is a dead business. Mm-hmm. They're dead. They're corpse. So they have not realized that. The way they still do, standalone region, never change the size. Or right. How many prints now? It's 45,
15,000. I don't know.
All that.
Yeah, expansion is very difficult.
Yeah, it's also they claim they have the same cost for the service on 2003. It's so much expensive, but for the tier, and then people they come and see it, they say, "Wow!" Like I have a 9 4x4 just in Wolf Territories, and including all the scenes I have in V. Oh my god, how many standalone I have? I would pay like a fortune in Second Life.
Oh yeah, I have 50.
It'd be impossible to do it. Yeah.
Right, I have 54 by 4s. It's basically a mini grid, and that, and they're all there because I'm trying to create spaces where people can be inspired, right? And there's just no comparison. And like I said, a lot of this is that people are going in, institutions are going in, not understanding. They're not doing the legal review to understand that they've now turned over like their IP, right? That yes, you walk away with it, but now Linden Labs retains it, and we can all say that that's a vestige of the move that Facebook did, that Mark Zuckerberg did.
I think that noise we all just heard is James being polite for once. We normally
it's just a random right?
We normally get a cascade. Normally we get a cascade of timing clocks.
How can he is always polite. I'm going to defend James.
Yeah. I was joking.
Oh, I thought that was Jimmy. He's always doing that to me.
Normally we get jumped out of our seats, but it was you, James. I take it.
That's right.
Yeah, normally we jump out of our seats when.
Nope.
We have even a sound on our group. It's Max fault. Yeah.
Yes, we do. And it's my voice. It's
Max fault. Whatever happened up in scene, you have no explanation.
Well, I can see this conversation. I can see this conversation could go on and on. Actually, even though we haven't got film running behind us, I think. Actually, Thirza, am I right? Have we already booked Xenon to be back in the next season?
I believe so. If not, we'll double check and make sure we have a date for her. Yes.
Yeah, more on the
education. And let me tell you what I'm really excited about. We'll have these regions ready, and these groups ready for people to join and really start to engage in their educational projects. Yeah,
if you can
that's great. And we'll really enjoy having you come back, and we could talk about it another time. That would be great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, fellow avatars, furry or otherwise, what's all that about? I'm thinking about my cat. Never mind. We've got to end it there. We're at our max as opposed to our min. on time today. Mercifully, actually, here in Europe, we're an hour earlier, so we probably don't need to rush to bed quite so quickly, but we still got to do it. Right. So I'd like to thank our special guest this week, Jimmy Olsen from Alternate Metaverse. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, wonderful. And thanks also to Xenon Darrow from Wolf Territories, of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you guys again and having some really cool stuff to share.
Yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want.
The next, I know the next education project will be how to clean and organize inventory. That's
it is. That's already on the list.
I think a lot of people have actually tried that.
I don't know. It's endless for her. I don't know if it's possible.
Somehow it never quite happens.
Man, I tell you, she made an avatar as a Wolf Territory, and the second day, oh my God, it's messy. It's messy. And the second day, she was already complaining about it. Like,
I still have it in Second Life. I noticed I was wearing it the other day. A thing called Misty Tool. Part of that was I remember we used to. Well, my partner and I used to have in our home like lots of big drawers and cabinets, like wardrobe things, right? And you could open each drawer and you could dump things from your inventory. You know, so you could have a drawer full of watches or wearables and things like that, and you could almost forget about them in the inventory then, because to get one, your avatar will walk to the drawer, mark watches, click on it, and choose the watch you wanted to wear. And you know, it was a very manageable way of doing inventory. Although I must admit that I'd have a warehouse full of cabinets. This way.
Anyway, I was going to say the ideal would be to have those assets on the web, and then you could just go deal with them on the web.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. Some people have done that. I don't know in Second Life, but it can be rigged in OpenSim. I know that. But you know, you got to have the clear channel to bring the assets in the right format in and everything else like that. But anyway, I must go, I'm afraid. I'd also like to, thanks to the guests, of course, I'd like to thank James Atlloud for all the tech stuff and everything else. So thank you, James.
Oh, you're very welcome, Mel. Thank you for bringing us together.
I didn't even get a chance to get you to ask questions today, so you know.
It was a good discussion. Yeah.
And thank you, of course, to my wonderful co-host, Thirza Ember. Thank you, Thirza.
Yay! Thanks.
Yeah. In fact, I can even.
Thank you, Mel. It was very nice to be here once again.
And that was our audience. Huge audience out there. Yeah, they're very animated, our huge audience. Very peculiar looking people. But no wolf is amongst them, so what the hell. Okay, so that's it, everybody. I'd like to wish you all a very good morning, very good afternoon, very good evening, and indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And we're out of here.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.